Hi, this is Fred with Electrek, and today we're checking the Ford Mustang Mach-E for a first drive impression and a quick look around the car to show you all its features. So come along. All right, let's start out with the little controversy, which is not really a controversy. Most of you won't care, but for those who do, we're talking about the fact that this is a Mustang, it's electric, and it's an SUV. So that whole thing ruffled a few feathers. But my thinking, or if I speculate what Ford was thinking really, it's for their first electric vehicle built from the ground up to be electric. Some of you might remember the Focus electric, but that was a conversion. This is really their first electric car built, designed to be electric from the ground up, and they wanted to make a strong statement with it, and they did that by associating it with the Mustang brand, which of course has a long history of powerful vehicles. And this is a powerful car. I mean, the GT version of it, the dual motor version, gets 480 horsepower. That makes it one of the most powerful Mustang out there, and it happens to be electric, and it happens to be an SUV. Now, some people will say that it's not really an SUV. If you look at the design of it, it's not that big, it's not that utilitarian, but if you sit in it, you actually get that feel of looking higher up and looking down on people that some people like when they are sitting in an SUV. They want that field of view. You do get that with that car, which is a plus if you're looking for an SUV, I think. But for the overall design, if you take a look around the car, it's definitely aggressive for an SUV, which again fits with the Mustang called a muscle car. Though I know some people argue that Mustangs are not even a muscle car, but it fits with that. One of the most aggressive design about the car is the line on the hood here. You get an even better view of it once you're in the driver's seat. It's pretty strong lines all over the hood, and they extend all the way across the car here from the back. Speaking of the back, the roof design is especially impressive, where the car is optimized for aerodynamic performance, which helps with the range, of course, the efficiency of the vehicle. And they did this cool little roof thing that goes, the glass extend all the way to the back and into the rear window right here. Now, the front end design for electric vehicle is always something that designers spend a lot of time on, thinking how they're going to do the front end, because they don't need a big grille to get a lot of air intake, since this is electrically powered. A lot of automakers are going with a faux grille. I wouldn't really characterize this one as a faux grille. It's more just a framing of the Mustang logo right there, which I like actually. And it's not, they didn't try to do like a plasticky type of fake grille. It's really more of a framing of the logo, and still extremely aggressive in terms of front end design, which fits with the brand too, I think. Let's continue with the features of the Mach-E, starting by how you get inside the vehicle. Ford will provide you with a little key fob. You can also connect to the Ford Pass app, which acts as a key and helps you control a bunch of different features on the vehicle. But to get inside the car, once it's unlocked, either to, again, Ford Pass or the key, you have to press this little button right here. And as you can see, the door will pop up a little bit. You can grab this sturdy little handle to swing it open. A similar concept in the back, though not exactly the same. You press the button again, the door pops up, and you have to actually get your hand inside the door right here, which can be a bit scary if you ever someone that got your finger stuck on a door. But it was actually designed like that because Ford did some consumer testing, and they realized that people weren't even using the handle if they put one like they did in the front. So what they did instead is they put this nice little rubber thing here, so you don't actually have to grab a metallic part of the door. And that's it. We'll get inside the car in a moment, but before we do, let's check the trunk and the front trunk, starting with the ladder. To open it, you open it like you would most hood in most cars. Just do this little latch here, and then you can check out the front. It's decent size. It comes with this little separator thing, so you can put different stuff in it. It's also waterproof, so you can use it for tailgating, for example. You can throw some ice in there with a few beers, and you're in business. Now for the trunk, you can open it just like this, a little button, or you can use your Ford Pass app, or from inside, of course, with the center display. A lot of space, a little bit more space underneath this compartment right here, but right now it's being filled with the mobile connector to charge your vehicle. And you also have a tire pressure system that comes with the car right there, pretty useful. And they built this little foam thing to keep everything in place so it doesn't move while you drive. But you can remove all that and also have more space for something else. If you use your mobile connector at home, for example, you don't need it in the car all the time. Though some people like that just as a safety precaution thing. You can lay on the back seat from the back pretty easily or from the front. They fold down, giving you a lot of space, making it practical as an SUV should be. And you even have this little 12-volt charger in the back here. Can be useful. All right, so now let's jump inside the car. Nice little neat sound too. Now we're inside the Mach-E. And as you can see, it's pretty spacious. I don't feel cramped in it. It's an SUV, a small one at that, but still an SUV. The headroom is pretty good. For reference, I'm about 6 feet tall. And the glass roof certainly help with the headroom. It extends all the way to the back. Very nice. I bet that your eye already caught the center display right here. That's the entire user experience is built around that. Ford has limited the number of physical buttons inside the car. We have to assume that that's a little bit inspired by Tesla. That's a big features inside Tesla vehicle. Everything is built around the center display. And the big advantage of that is you can improve user experience by sending software updates over the air and add features in there. So for the first time, Ford has that. This car is able to be updated through over-the-air software update. And I have to say, that's hopeful because I mean this is not perfect right now. I mean it's pretty good for a first try from Ford. I mean Ford has had touchscreens inside their vehicles for a while, obviously, but never this extensively building an experience around a touchscreen. And it's decent right now, but it could be optimized. It could be a little bit more intuitive. Let's say you can click right here and you have access to your controls for the vehicle. So your drive modes: engage, whisper, unbridle, which is like a sport mode, a more like chill mode, and more spirited driving. You have settings that have more to do with your electric vehicles, like one pedal driving, which we're going to get into that once we get on the road. Very interesting. You have access to your camera here. You have a 360 bird view, very useful. And fisheye reverse camera, also pretty useful. What those do right there. Oh, okay. Here you can see with your sensors instead of the bird eyes view, and so forth. A different look at the camera right here. Oh, that's actually a better look in my opinion. Other settings. Let's see. So I have to go back. You have to do X right there. This comes with the Ford Copilot system, which gives you active traffic aware cruise control basically, and some lane keeping assist features, useful on the highway of course. And you even have a valet mode. If you can enter a pin to limit the car's capability, so you don't want your valet to go on a joyride. What else you got here? You can change it from controls and settings is apparently different. You have your sound setting that you can tune for a better experience depending on who's inside the car. And you have your personal profiles here. That's very useful. So you can link the profile through simply a key, or like I said earlier, the Ford Pass app. You can build your profile through that. The car will detect that who's driving the car through the Ford Pass app, and you can build all your features, including your seat settings, your side mirror settings, and it goes further than that. You can also even the car will detect who's driving and will build a driver profile around that, and adapt the range estimates based on that driver's driving profile. So if you're someone who drives more aggressively than another person that drives the car, you're gonna have a better idea of the ranged estimates on the vehicle depending on that profile, which is very useful. Other settings here includes everything that you can find in a car, from alarm to lock system to the Windows control right there. Everything you see here, you can also control to the Ford Pass app, which is pretty useful. Now, if you haven't realized it yet, and I'm sure you have, there's a giant dial right there. And it's really on the screen, and it's a volume dial, simple as that. Again, just like the door opening system, Ford did some consumer tests and found out that people just like having a dial for volume and don't like to control it with a touch screen like you would like this for the heating system. To each their own. I don't mind it, but to each their own. Some would say that's a little bit gimmicky, but it works. It works well. So who knows? It does limit a little bit what you can do with the user interface design, though, I would say, because of course you have the power volume just built right there. But it's not a giant limitation either, I would say. Before going into my driving impression real quick, we'll talk about the specs, especially the range, which is the main thing that people are worried about when it comes to electric vehicles. If it's a little bit bumpy, don't worry about it. It's because of we are on a country road right now. It's not a perfect road. So the range is going to be offered on the Ford Mustang Mach-E in a bunch of different options, from 230 miles of range, which is I think around 270 kilometers, to 300 miles of range, which is close to 480 kilometers, I think. And that's going to be depending on two battery pack option, one that is 68 kilowatt-hour usable and an 88 kilowatt-hour usable that is actually 98 kilowatt-hour total. So if you compare that with like a similar size electric vehicle like the Model Y, for example, from Tesla, it uses a smaller battery pack and yet gets a longer range of the Mach-E. That's, well, partly because Tesla is of course very good at efficiency, but I think it's also because Ford is being a little bit cautious with the car, like other legacy automakers that are going electric. They offer a big buffer on the battery pack, a 10 kilowatt-hour buffer in this case for the bigger battery version of this car. So they do that. They limit you on how much you can discharge and charge the battery pack for a bunch of different reasons, and that affect the efficiency. Although long term it could have some benefits, including slower battery degradation because of that. Though we won't know that for sure until there's more real world testing and a bunch of mileage is being had up to those cars, which could happen quickly because this is a fun car to drive, and I can see people racking up a lot of mileage on them pretty quick. So speaking of how fun it is to drive, this is the dual motor version of it, so all-wheel drive. It's peppy, so we can press on the gas a little bit. Of course, it's not gas, it's an accelerator. But if you heard, and I'm gonna do it one more time, and I hope that the microphone catches it, but there's a little fake sound here. It's a little fake, like Mustang rumbling engine sound that you hear. I think you can turn that off in the settings, so if you don't like it and you want the more natural sound, I think you can get that too. But it is a very peppy car. It's fun to drive, even though it's an SUV. It doesn't feel as much an SUV when you're driving more spiritedly, because of the low center of gravity thanks to the battery pack, and the dual motor delivering power to each axle extremely quick, a microsecond quick. So that's very fun. However, you do have that SUV feel of driving it, of being higher up a little bit. It's not much higher than the Model Y, but the sitting position feels higher. I was driving next to a Model Y earlier, and I was looking down on the driver. So there's that. If you're more looking for an SUV feel of driving, you still get that while getting a sportier drive in the car. So I think that's fun, and it's like a compromise between both worlds. But yeah, one thing that I absolutely love about driving the Mustang Mach-E is the one pedal driving. Okay, it has very smooth regenerative braking, which brings energy back into the battery pack when you let go of the accelerator, like I'm doing right now. And instead of braking using the mechanical brakes, it uses the motor to brake. And Ford set it to a driving mode that's a one pedal driving mode that changes the setting basically of the braking mechanism to to enable you to literally drive only using the accelerator pedal. So if I'm getting into a stop, I can just let it go and it's gonna come to a stop fairly quickly, and you don't have to press the brakes at all. So it takes some getting used to, for sure. More experienced electric vehicle driver are gonna be able to get it in minutes and literally not have to touch the brakes at all, never, unless of course there's an emergency situation, some like a deer across the road or something. You're gonna use it, but other than that, for your day-to-day driving, you won't need it. And someone that's not used to that, a less experienced electric vehicle driver, a new electric vehicle driver, you're gonna get used to it in hours, literally. So something to consider here. But I'm a big fan. Of course, Ford and Mustang Mach-E are not the first one to get a one-pedal driving option in their car, but in my experience, this is the smoothest one-pedal driving I've ever experienced. So kudos to Ford for that. That was it for our first drive impression of the Mustang Mach-E. We're gonna have a full review coming up next month when we can spend some more time with the car, so stay tuned for that. Subscribe if you want to see it, and if you like the video, give us a thumbs up, it's always appreciated, and we're gonna see you next time.